Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong. Welcome to 2026.
Woo, woo.
Noisemakers.
We're here.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Wesley.
Hello, Savon.
We're down.
Savon, can you describe, actually, Brian, can you describe this mug
Oh,
Savon
man.
is using?
I did not notice until you pointed it out, but this
Savon's
man is
grip-
holding
gripping
up a
his
booty
teeth.
to his lips.
It's a booty. But
That-
he's holding up the
that's
torso
definitely-
part.
That is a Miss Fat Booty mug. Like, as so fat you could see it from the front.
We are looking at the front. All right, well, that's a fantastic
All he
mug.
can do is smile. He's like,
We love a good Most Def reference. Man of culture, Brian Redondo knows exactly what's up.
What's Most Def's new name, or not new name, but his current name?
his real
Nas-
name
his
is
real name is
Yassine
like-
Bey.
Oh,
Yeah, he just uses government.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Shun.
All right. I didn't know he went. He was using. I thought he was using another stage, or like he changed his name, but he just dropped the stage name. Okay. All right. All right. This episode, we're back in Pandora.
We
the
should give
world-
Wes a stage name, I think.
Mr. Forgetful. We're
Hot
back
take,
in
Wes.
James Cameron. This
Oh,
is
Wild
where
Wild
we hear
West.
all about how
Wild Wild West. There we go.
Wild Wild West. When we play in the Rivals or
100.
Apex and West Turn, I was like, oh, shit, that's Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West. Okay, I'm done.
Wiki
Continue,
wow.
Wesley.
Wiki wow wow.
Did you? I just watched a video where they were talking about how Will Smith turned down doing The Matrix in order to do Wild Wild West.
Yeah, he does talk that shit's hilarious.
All right, let's get back to the movie, because this was maybe the biggest grossing movie of the past half year. I didn't look at any numbers, but based on how much people are
Are
talking
you
about
just
how much,
asserting that?
yeah, I know just
Like-
how much money this movie
Yeah,
made.
probably
That
made
shit-
the most
They
money.
keep telling us.
Confidently wrong.
Oh man, they just keep telling us how many millions, hundreds of millions of dollars this movie has raked in the past couple of weeks, and we get to hear about how James Cameron doesn't direct a miss. I guess all of his movies just rake in the dough. He's got something like 3 or 4 of the top 5 biggest grossing movies of all time, Titanic, and then like all of the Pandora, or all of the Avatar movies. So, Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Can I qualify your statements though? For most of the Avatar movies, a lot of that money is overseas, my
Mm.
friend. So take
What, they
that
don't
what
count?
you will.
That still
Man,
counts.
wow.
Take
Brian.
that what
That's-
you will,
Get this
man.
American,
Elitist.
get this US
American
exception
exceptionalism.
out of here. What do you think this is? 2026?
I'm just saying.
This
just
man
saying.
ready to sign up with Trump and
Respectfully, how much stock do we want to put in the taste of American audiences?
Brian,
knowing
yeah, Brian-
what the people have
who
chosen.
are our listeners? Is what I'm just trying to say. Our,
Brian,
our
do you call
listeners
people,
in China,
Do you call people illegals? Is that
We
what
are,
Brian says?
Brian, we are
illegals?
a multicultural,
they have backs that
multinational
may
show.
be moist.
We
Yo.
we are a multinational, multicultural podcast without borders type of show.
We
If you in
respect
China
the
listening,
global audience.
I don't know how to say hello in any Chinese languages or dialects, but hello.
Hello,
Are
hello
they
to all
here?
our Chinese listeners.
They're probably listening.
They're listening to everything. So this is going to be full of
Says the
spoilers.
American.
Yeah, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you haven't seen this, just be ready to have it all spoiled. So be okay with that. Brian, can you set us up? What do we need to know about before going into the third installment of Avatar?
What do we need to know
Make it
about
simple.
Avatar?
Yeah.
Avatar is a CGI slugfest. Avatar is all motion capture actors turned into tall blue aliens living on another planet. That's all you need to know. And it's James Cameron, and a lot of stuff blows up. And
But not in a
and
Michael Bay
also-
way. A little bit different than Michael Bay blowing up.
It's a little different.
More,
I guess
more
it's
Jerry
like
Bruckheimer. More
I
Jerry
guess
Bruckheimer.
it's like high level Michael Bay, right?
High level Michael Bay.
It's high level
Not sure
Michael
what that
Bay,
means.
right?
The explosions make a little bit more sense.
It's like competent Michael Bay.
All right,
That's
competent Michael Bay.
James Cameron.
Art house
Okay.
Michael Bay.
All right. It's not hard at all. All right. Anyways, so that's what you need to know about Avatar. There's blue people.
You
and
could
it's
have asked
mostly
me that
it's mostly
question.
Blue people.
You could have
Yeah.
asked me that
That's
question.
all
I
you
wasn't
didn't
gonna
know.
waste. I wasn't gonna waste that question on your excellent recall and your
Yeah.
your big brain energy.
I'm
You
just sitting
totally
here in the
swung
corner.
left on that
I'm just
question.
sitting here in the
Wes.
corner. I'm just
He's
sitting here in the
"Tap me in,
corner,
coach.
wide
Coach,
open,
coach."
just
He's a kid in the front seat of math class. He's like waving. He's got the
I'm in
big
the-
flag up in
I'm in
his
the
teacher's
teacher
face.
call on me. I'm in the corner for the open three. I'm like, Coach, what is going on right now? I'm
I'm
deep
passing
the
field.
one that
I'm
knows
deep
the
field,
answer.
waiting for the
I got
downfield
you.
pass, and I'm
I
wide
got
open
you.
in the end zone. Just
I'm not.
and then that boy
I'm
was
not
doing
wasting
onside
Randy
kick.
Moss on a 5-yard, in route. I'm sending you the deep bomb. Here we go. So, how did we feel going into this movie? Were you excited about it? What was your expectations? Savon, tell us about your feelings going into the movie.
You know, that answer actually placated me, so good job. I was like, okay.
This is what I was saving you for. Don't
Okay.
worry.
All right,
I got
Coach.
you.
All right, Coach. All right, Steve Kerr. Look, we gotta get the Eagles in check. I was like, what is this shit? I put all my best years here, and this is what I get. Request a trade. Send me to the other confidently wrong. No, so yeah, I was really excited about this movie. I've said before, I've been on the record. I'm a big Avatar fan. I think the series, it's for me, I'm realizing I like it the same reason kids grew up liking Indiana Jones and Star Wars, where it's just a lot of just a big fun movie going experience, especially in an era where that's just not really a thing anymore. So I knew from the bounce I was excited because the bare minimum of what you get from an Avatar movie will always justify like the ticket price for me, which is a dope visual experience, a story that people have questions about, but I think is interesting enough, easy to follow, but interesting enough to still at least keep you relatively entertained. And then just dope visuals in terms of just, a nature documentary, a fictional nature documentary. And I got all of those things. And so I knew that we were going to get those things. So I was pleasantly hyped either way going in. I knew that I was like, okay, I can't wait for more of this story and more of what happens next. Like I knew that from the end of the last Avatar movie. So
Were you able to go in trailer free? You like to go into big movies without having seen any trailers or teasers.
I was able to avoid I was able to avoid the trailer. First thing is the trailers weren't really telling you anything. It was just visuals, and the visuals are gonna be fire. So I was able to avoid it. I knew that we were gonna have that other faction of Na'vi. I think I saw a clip where I saw Quaritch dressed in their attire, so I figured, okay, he's gonna work with them. But outside of that, I didn't know really diddly squat about the story, which was also pleasant of just, okay, cool. I could just go in blank slated and kind of just go for the ride. But yeah, I was hyped.
Let's be honest. Nobody was watching trailers for the third installment of Avatar. It's like you already know if you're gonna watch Avatar or not.
Well, yeah. Well, I think for that, one, true. I said this in the chat of like at this stage in the series, if you like Avatar, you know what you like. If you don't, nothing's gonna really change that one way or another. It doesn't take 3 Star Wars movies to know whether you're a fan or not. Like, you know what you like at this point. I agree, Brian. But I think trailer more so for me was about set pieces because I'm in it for the, I'm invested in the characters and story, but the biggest thing is I want to see the more of the world of Pandora. So anytime I see a trailer, I'm looking more for cool set pieces and, what are other parts of this dope planet we get to see? Like, I knew I was going to see Way of Water, but I just wanted to see, okay, we got cool water shit. All right, cool. I'm all in. So,
Yeah.
But
Way of Water
agree.
was clearly the ocean side, the surfing, the island people, Na'vi, right?
Exactly.
And then Fire and Ash. You're like, oh yeah, so now we're gonna get the Fire Nation, or something like that.
Yeah, not exactly. You're expecting each movie to basically be, here's new Pandora biome or subsection of the culture. Let's see how the story takes them so far. Which I have a lot to say about that as we get into this episode. But that was my energy and expectation going in, what I was excited for.
So something stuck out to me last time we talked about Avatar: Way of Water. I think I had not seen it by the time we did the pod. And I was just kind of like, I don't really know, what I should be into.
Wait, you
and then I
hadn't
finally
seen
saw
the
it.
movie by then?
I don't think so. I think I watched it.
I think it
later
was
on
just me and
streaming.
Savon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was part of it, but I hadn't seen it, so I just went in. I was talking to you guys
That's
about it,
ammo.
and something what you guys told me like was you can't go in expecting a certain thing from it, right? Like what you're gonna get is what you got in the first movie, which was amazing visual effects, some great set pieces. The environments are fully built out and realized and just like full of depth and texture, and that's sort of what you're watching. It's just a spectacle. I think Brian called it a spectacle at some point during the pod, and so that set my expectations for this one, because I think I complained a lot about the last one, or even not wanting to watch the last one, because I was like, I don't know, the characters are kind of blah, the the story's kind of whatever. I wish they would hire writers who could write dialogue that was more interesting. And Brian was like, what, like, that's not, you're asking for the wrong thing from this movie. Like, that's not what they're going to give you. And so I think that's what I went into this mindset of this movie was like, I'm not going to get great writing or great dialogue. I'm going to get like, an okay story, and we're going to see like all kinds of cool stuff. Like like your eyes are going to be drinking in all of the sunsets and all of the like, water and the textures and all of that stuff. And so that's what I was expecting. Brian, do you still stand by that? That's kind of how you have to go into these movies?
Yes. However, I will say
I missed the point. Maybe I missed the point.
No. I think that's totally right. That's how I watched Way of Water. And the thing with James Cameron, right, and especially with the Avatar movies, is that he is clearly trying to develop new image making technology to tell the stories that he wants to tell. So like basically like every movie in his career, like Terminator 2, Aliens, Titanic, the Avatar trilogy, he is always pushing boundaries from a filmmaking perspective. He's like trying to show you like, oh, now we can do this kind of stuff, right? Like with Avatar, it's all about pushing the CG. I think probably it's unparalleled in the world of movies for CGI, right? Of what they're doing, like matching CGI with real actors and the environments and stuff like that. And then now in like the third installment of Avatar, we're getting 120 frames per second throughout the whole movie, right? It's like it's running on PS6 levels, basically. that is part of his MO, right? It's like, Avatar 1 is like PS3, and now he's on PS6. And that is one way to watch the movie and appreciate it for what it is. I will say though, the things that you brought up about like writing and characters and whatever, I kind of think James Cameron might have missed the plot on some of his own things in this latest installment.
Okay,
so
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that.
All right. Actually, maybe we can talk about it on this next question. So, we get our new chapter. There's another conflict that's happening. The humans are back with a vengeance. There's now another Na'vi clan. They're called the Ash People sometimes. I don't know if they had a different name, but they were called the Ash People at one point, and it's led by this like, she's kind of like their queen or their tribe leader, who is mostly about vengeance. She kind of describes her story as like she was done wrong by Awa, the sort of like natural, I don't know, mother nature sort of presence in the story or in the world, and therefore turns her back. Yeah, turns her back on it, and ends up deciding that she's going to undo all of the things that bring order and harmony to the world, so that she can. So there, basically, everyone can experience the same thing and see like the fraudster that Awa is, and she's going to be sort of the agent of chaos there, and brings her tribe to create, bring this violence down on everybody else. So I think, did you like that addition to the story? Did you like the story overall? Sav, what did you think about the story, the plot, kind of the it's a little bit different in that, it's not just humans it's not just Quaritch this time. It's kind of multiple factions now fighting.
Yeah. So that's what I was most excited for. The biggest thing that hyped me for this movie was, we have a Na'vi faction that clearly is less on the chill vibe of a lot of the others. We've seen the tree clans and the sea and the water coastal clans, and we've seen how they get down. And for the most part, even though they have warrior culture, they're still very much hey man, we trying to more or less just vibe, live in nature, do our thing. And I was excited for us to have a Na'vi clan that was just totally opposite of that. Hey, we on some raider shit, we killing, we doing all this. I thought it timed to the fire. That was probably the biggest selling point of the movie for me is, oh, cool. We get to see a clan that has a darker past and all of this. And I think even Cameron mentioned in the pre-production stuff years ago that this tribe is more cut off. Like they mentioned them being cut off, even in like the pre-production stuff of like, hey, this is a little hint about who our next faction and villains is going to be. I was really excited for that. And honestly, that was probably my biggest missed opportunity of the movie, is that I thought they were going to be a much, much bigger part of the movie. And they kind of weren't. They were important in terms of like the plot and moving things forward. But in terms of their actual like presence and lore and learning about them, especially for a series that really prides itself in deep diving the lore and explaining how this world works, we got so little of them, and that was what I was most excited for. So I kind of got mixed feelings in that. It's not that I didn't enjoy the story, but that was the part of the story that I found most intriguing, and I found myself a little disappointed that that wasn't what took the front center stage. Now, here's the other thing. I think the larger plot was weaker than the last movie because I think it was kind of retreading some of the same vibes. It kind of felt like Way of Water 2.5 in that regard of the story. And that was also kind of a missed opportunity. I wish we had gotten more of the fire people instead of more water folks. Like we learned a lot about them. That shit was dope. I was ready to keep it moving, or at least them not be as front and center. Those are my like critiques with the story. Now, what I liked and what I think was way better than the last movie is I think Jake's family is a much more intriguing bunch to watch compared to the last one. Last one, I think we were establishing them, learning about them. The cast kind of ballooned in size a little unexpectedly because now we went from Jake's human transition story and him and his wife to now multiple children. And I think for 2, it was harder to get used to that big cast increase. I was a really big fan of Jake Sully's
and then
kids.
Decrease.
Yeah, and then decrease. But that shit's
Oops.
rough.
Oops, follow orders, bro.
But and I mean that shit was sad. But like seriously though, and kind of even running off of that, I thought the story did a good job of kind of focusing more on the Sully family, their dynamics, the echoes of like the older brother's death in the last movie really was kind of hanging over a lot of people's decisions. I thought that was good. Like I think Jake trying to balance between being, a dad and a military leader, but still having his human military training was actually, I like that. I think the son became one of my favorite characters, just from his guilt, trying to step up, all of that. I don't know. I have mixed feelings because I think the individual character stories were much more interesting to me, and I enjoyed those. Even like Natari's mourning and her whole arc, even Spider, who I did not like in the first movie, the previous movie, who I think is way more interesting here. But I think that was undercut by rethreading too much of the last movie and not delving enough into this new, really interesting faction who I just thought they were going to, I guess I just really thought we'd get a lot more of them. So too much Way of Water retreading, dope exposition of building out the family again. Didn't get enough of the Fire Clan, who was really the selling point of the Fire and Ash tagline that really hooked me for this movie.
Yeah, if you're going to call it Fire and Ash, let's see the Fire and Ash, right?
We saw the volcano place once when Quaritch went in to negotiate. And for the record, that shit was dope. He had your boy the necklace. He got to do snipe. I was like, oh, shit, this is dope. I can't wait to see more of what happened over here.
And then you got none of that. Nothing. And like that's the whole thing. Like what I was saying about how James
like a
Cameron
missed layup, bro. It's like a fast break layup. It's like, all right, man, this is the easiest layup. Just it's called fire. Hey, you gave us the tree people, fire.
And
you
then he passed the ball backwards.
Dope. All right, cool. Now we're about to have the fire people. Actually, no, we're gonna run this action again.
We're going right back to the water people.
It's like, Like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
And this is what I was saying about James Cameron, right? Like he's creating these movies in a way to show you worlds and lore in fantastic new ways that you've never experienced in the cinema before, right? So like the first Avatar is all about introducing the world of Pandora and the Na'vi, and you're like, oh my god, you in this
Floating
future
rocks.
humans can like take on the form of these Na'vi people and like get to like experience the world of Pandora through their eyes or whatever. And right, that's really exciting and unique. And then Way of Water is like, oh wait, the world of Pandora is even bigger. There's a whole water tribe, and now we're just constantly in the water, and there's water creatures and a whole way of living with the water. And it looks really cool because, as anybody who knows the least bit about CG knows, that water effects are really hard to do. That's like in a video game, water, like if you can nail water, like you're gold, right? And of course,
Amen.
Way of Water knocks it out of the park. And so it's such a cool experience to be in the water with the water tribe. And so you're like, okay, third movie, Fire and Ash, here we go. They're going to knock out fire as a key element of this movie, and we're just going to be immersed in fire like the whole time. Like, nope, wrong. We're still in water. We're mostly in water. There's some explosions, and maybe a woman lights some candles. Like that's kind of all we got. And then so like part of what I'm saying is, right, like getting to immerse yourself in the world of the Na'vi through the kind of technical innovations that James Cameron is working on, right? Like we did not really get to explore the Ash people very much. We don't like fully understand their ethos. I don't fully get why Varong, I think who's the lead fire and ash person, has such a nihilistic viewpoint. I was honestly hoping for this sect of Na'vi to be more like, I thought they were going to be more like, okay, the indigenous tribes that do controlled burns, right? Like in the West Coast, or like in Australia,
the slash and burn, the slash and burn farming tactics.
I thought there was going to be some like deeper connection to the fire and how fire is important for life, right? Like not everything,
bro. Literally, they could have given us anything. They gave
like
us nothing.
Circle of Life. Give us something like that.
They could have still been evil and dicks too. Yeah.
Like all they want to do is attack people.
Reason. I mean, their reason is okay. Our tree died. The volcano killed our tree. Our leader doesn't fuck.
They're
like,
the ash
people. That's a good setup. But the problem is that we don't get more. Like
we don't really understand it, and like what exactly is their goal, right? Like she just wants to rain down suffering on everybody else. Yeah. So it's super thin, and obviously the movie probably understood that that this was a thin idea because they spent so little time with them to begin with. And so like that doesn't feel great. And then so like what does this third installment of Avatar really do for us? Like what is the new thing that keeps us invested in the movie when we already know that the main characters are a little flat, a little wooden? Like, do we really care about Jake Sully? Maybe we've never really cared about Jake Sully, right?
I care about Jake Sully and his family. I like his family.
I cared about Jake Sully in the first one and Neytiri.
They're cool, but like I don't think that's the reason why we're watching these movies. And that's why I think James Cameron, you forgot the plot on your own movies, man. Like you forgot why we watch.
But this was my criticism. This was my criticism last year or 2 years ago or whenever it was, and y'all basically told me like climb a tree. You know, you're expecting.
No, that's what I'm saying. Way of Water is a cool experience.
Yeah. Also, once
like
you be going in
experience
trying not
water
to have
in a new way.
Yeah. No, like, but I'm with you, Brian. Like they And again, you're right. You're
I'm
not
glad
watching
you
the
have
Avatar.
come to my side,
And you're
guys.
right. You're not watching. I mean, I haven't come to your side, but you're right. I'm not going to the Avatar movie of like, oh my goodness, Jake Sully's family is the coolest thing. I think that they're interesting enough to tell the story of Pandora the way that James Cameron wants to. I think they do that
It's
job
more about
well enough.
Pandora.
Yeah, it's about Pandora's the main star, and then secondly is the story of his family. I think the story of family has to be at least remotely interesting enough to drag you into Pandora, which I think it's gotten better as the series has gone on. I think 2 was like I said, 2 was too many folk, not too many, a lot. I think 3 found the balance, but I think
Because
to
they
your
killed
point,
off
Brian,
the kid.
yeah, but also they used the emotional death of the kid to actually meaningfully significant, like change the others. I thought that was legitimately something they did well. The problem is that they made the family more interesting and likable in this movie, and that was a step up from the last one, in my opinion. But to your point, they didn't advance the Pandora interesting elements forward, and had they done that too, I think it would have been a much better experience, because I found myself during that movie saying, I like Jake Sully's family more and what their experience is and what their different trials are, but why are we doing it in the same location of the last movie? And it's like, man, if we had that same character interaction that his family had, but just in this new environment / biome, I think that alone elevates the movie significantly, because you're still getting the new shit. The family is more interesting, and I'm going to maintain that they are more interesting and better written than previously. But you didn't change, it's like you improved one thing, but didn't improve the other thing that was already propping stuff up before. And it's like, it's such an easy missed opportunity, because it just feels like a bait and switch where, okay, fine, this new tribe is going to end up just being tools of the government, and maybe they tie into Quaritch's story. I'm like, okay, that's whatever. I'm not really tripping on that. But they could have given us all that they gave us about them and still gave us some more exposition. We saw them doing these weird tribal celebrations around the fire, jumping through it and shit. And in my head, watching it, I'm like, oh, they have some really weird, crazy culture. I can't wait to learn what the deal with this shit is. And we never learn what the deal with this shit is.
It's just wallpaper.
And I was like, oh my, but that's one of those, you give us a little bit more of that, a little bit less of, that's like a ratio thing. Slide like 50% of the time we spent back at the water place into the new fireplace, and suddenly the movie is way better, because now we're still getting that Pandora, National Geographic built-in combo movie that makes Avatar so dope. And I was like, man, it was just very disappointing to see that they improved the characters, but didn't improve what I would argue is the easiest selling point of the movie to improve on, which is just give us more fake nature. And it blows my
more
mind
fake
that
nature,
they didn't,
exactly.
like, just, show us a creature in the fire biome that is adapted to living around all this shit. Give us 5 minutes of exposition of, these are the lava birds. The heat here is intense, but they have adapted, and this is how blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, yeah, sick.
Yeah, and this is our connection to the lava birds.
Yeah, or this is how we do the shit without the connection, because this is how we're cut off. Like, they could have did either direction, but they gave us nothing, which really blows my mind, because I would have gobbled up damn near anything they told us about this new tribe. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have a reference point of what they should be nature-wise, so you give me anything and make it interesting, and I'm going to be fine with it. But they gave me the worst thing. Nothing. Which is, like, to your point.
They gave you ash.
Yeah, they gave me actual ash. They gave me actual, like, my thoughts
Nothing
and
to chew
dreams
on.
of what this tribe would be were actual fire and ash. And it was designed so well. And I'm sorry, I'm just very frustrated about that. They were so cool. They look so cool. They were cool. They were doing fire suicide bombs. I was like, oh, so they do like a flaming suicide bomb thing. And
that was wild.
I thought we would get more of that. I'm like, oh,
Mad
so
Max.
I'm like, oh, so we're doing kamikaze bombers. I'm like, oh, this is sick. I can't wait to learn more about what these people do.
Also, the merchant tribe and those balloons. Missed opportunity. That was so cool.
Oh man, I can't wait to learn more about what their deal is.
Yeah, they were too slow.
I was like,
so much of this movie
how do they interact with all the other tribes?
About what their deal is, then we don't learn what their deal is.
What information were they bringing, or like what? Yeah, how did they tie all the cultures together?
Oh, they're traders. All right, yeah, help bridge the gap. I don't know, something, but
yeah. It was just an excuse to show off some cool hot air balloons, organic hot air balloons.
But I'm okay with that. Give me an excuse to just give me more. The problem isn't showing it off; it's that they didn't give us more.
Sliders. I want to say that I agree. I think that the Ash people and Varang especially kind of felt wasted, right? Like there was a lot of, in the beginning when you're introduced to her, you're like, oh, this lady is like kind of crazy. She's like clearly a threat. And in the end, it's like, she just wants guns.
Yeah.
So that's it. She just wanted
Yeah.
a gun.
She's just
What
an
the heck?
agent of chaos.
She wanted, and that was it. And like, there should have been so much more done with them. But I think my biggest complaint is still the same thing that's hard in both of the past two movies, and I don't remember this from the first movie as much, but it probably was there too, was, to me, the dialogue is so stilted. I know we're not, this is not asking for, this question wasn't even asking for criticisms, but I just wanted to add on like my take on like why this movie feels slow and it flops to me is actually not so much about like set pieces or like story. It's like the actual character interactions are super, just like, they're basic, and it felt like I could have written this, and I'm not a great writer, I'm not a screenwriter. Like, it's all the stuff that like I would have put in like very much chronological order, and there's just like nothing interesting about their interactions. The kids' interactions are pretty like vanilla. I don't care about any of their interactions. The way that like Jake and Neytiri talk, especially in that scene where like they're having like kind of a disagreement about something about either Spider or about the family moving or something like that, and they're mad at each other, and then all of a sudden it's like Jake is like, they're there, and he just like comforts her, even though like he had reason to be pretty upset too. Like, all of a sudden he's just like, oh, they're there, we're back together, no problems. And like there was no reason for them to like have solved that or resolved their conflict there.
Yeah, I don't buy his like fatherly love really in the movie because
it's just, like,
of what
jarring.
you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, even the kids' motivations are sometimes a little bit like jarring. Like, where did this come from? Like, why are we all of a sudden talking about this? The Grace character, her name isn't Grace, but Kiri's character, all of a sudden she becomes like front and center in the movie for like 10 minutes when we didn't necessarily remember anything about her, like what her motivations were from before. It's just like, sort of, to me, it's the dialogue being so stilted, and there's so many like awkward scenes that like just didn't need to be there, that the movie just loses steam through the whole thing. And I stopped like caring about the characters in a way where it was just, they just weren't interesting. Like, the characters besides Varang weren't interesting. Even Quaritch, who, arguably probably has like the coolest,
he has
gray
the best
area.
lines of the movie.
Yeah, and
actually,
and great lines, but even his interactions with people are just like really like, they're still too cartoony villain. I saw a YouTube where they were saying, he's not a cartoon villain anymore, where he's just, mustache twirling evil guy, and so he has a little bit more depth to him in this movie, but it's still, still the dialogue is still kind of, rah, 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 I feel proud of you, son, and then he's out of there. It's like, okay, I guess I don't. I mean, it's just all a bit of a Saturday morning cartoon, and for a 3-hour movie, I want more for a $1 billion movie. I want more for all of this money you're spending on it. I just would like you to spend time like hiring somebody who can write dialogue. This is like George Lucas, all over again, where it's cool ideas, all these characters have cool backgrounds, and yet their actual like talking and speaking is just not interesting at all. So that was my issue, and it's remained from the last one too. But the visuals were dope. We can talk about those in a bit.
Yeah, and I think like Quaritch, just to land on that for a second, I think that is also another huge missed opportunity and like quite a mistake, right? Like, for one thing, I think it was a mistake that they're even focusing on Quaritch.
Really?
Still, right? Like, it's still this like Quaritch chasing Jake Sully thing that has been happening throughout the 3 movies.
I see.
And like if you're gonna introduce a new villain like Varang of the Ash tribe, right? Like, let her be the villain. Let her be the villain. But instead, she just becomes like a pawn in the game of Quaritch that he's orchestrating. And Quaritch is obviously like a character we already know, kind of like, as you pointed out, like a caricature of a villain to begin with. At least he gets, so like the James Cameron and company, they choose to focus on him being kind of a plot driver. And that's fine. And so they give him a little bit of gray, right? Now he is in a Na'vi body. Like, Jake keeps challenging him to like, open up your eyes. You can see, you have new eyes. You can see the world differently. And they keep like hinting at that, but he just like continues he continues to not evolve as a character.
Yeah, it's really. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. He's got this romantic relationship with the leader of the Ash tribe. He does the Ash tribe drugs, man.
Yeah.
He took the psilocybin. He took the the salvia.
They say he's gone full native. That's like the language that someone in the movie uses. So,
yeah, and then there's a lot of interesting terrain for the movie to take up there, but ultimately they continue to devolve it back into like, no, I gotta catch my guy. Those are my orders. I'm gonna do my job.
Well, it's
Damn it!
Well, it's like, Brian, that's
that's so frustrating.
Yeah,
you could have taken us someplace new, some new terrain that none of the other movies have explored, and is like they set the table for it. And again, they're like, nope, you can't have that dinner.
Chekhov's plot development.
Yeah, I mean,
or character development.
Honestly, because he has the potential to be, I would argue, and I think I was saying this in the last movie,
Quaritch, even though he's a villain,
he can be or at the very least, the most compelling of like, because the character story, like I know we can talk about Avatar as a basic story, but I do think they do some cool elements that are unique to just like the world they've built, and I think the Quaritch character is one of the most interesting things to come out of the Avatar series, period. Especially when you're not talking about just the nature beautiful shit, right? Or like, okay, he's the main villain, but he's cloned into the body of his hated enemy. He's hanging on to the dead man's memories. Several characters even pointed out during the movie. Like that was a theme in the movie they were building up of like, hey, Quaritch, you're chasing a dead man's dreams. You're not even really him. You get into the whole philosophical, are you even him type shit. And I thought those were dope, like, things to kind of poke and prod at, because you could see it was undermining a little bit of Quaritch's belief in the military, and even watching him start to become more native and integrated is like, all right, cool, like this is moving in a dope direction. And I think inevitably we know that character's arc will probably end with him ditching the military because there's no real future or life with him there, right? Even when they say, hey, you're grounded, I thought the movie was even hinting that he was going to have them turn against the military, to be some infighting. Like that scene when they said, hey, we have a bunch of key cards coming in and that's our people. And I was like, oh, cool. That must be them setting up that, hey, y'all getting a little lax with y'all defense. This shit could backfire. And, something with Quaritch when he gets grounded. And the messed up part is that much like, I know Wesley, you don't like the dialogue, but
he could have been betrayed too. Like it turned out that the fire army the Ash people were actually using him, right? Like
that would have been awesome.
That sends him into a tailspin, right? Like that.
Yeah, but I think his story has always been like kind of spiral. I think his story has always been him moving away from the military, and what does that look like? And
I don't know.
I think, because he's dead. He's in the body of like a former combatant, so it's not like he can just go off back to Earth and live a normal life or some shit. He's clearly just driven by this Jake Sully shit, and they're clearly setting up his arc to be one of him realizing, hey man, you got to move on and open your eyes and do your own shit, which I think is dope because that could make him one of the better characters, but they're too scared to pull the trigger in like a timely fashion. This movie could have been the moment where he has a big aha needle moving moment, and he doesn't have to die. Like you can have him be a recurring character, but I felt like that key piece of character development, the movie ended before they could really punch it through. And again, much like the Fire and Ash folks, those are things that they were building up in the previous movie. Had you delivered on that, it would have elevated. It would have been like, to me, an easy win.
It was over 3 hours. How did the movie end before they got to that point?
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild. Like coming out of Way of Water, the two things they really had to do.
He's Prince Zuko without the good parts.
Yeah, the two things they really had to do was just show us more Pandora, which they didn't really do. Easy miss. I think make Jake's family more interesting. I think they did that. And then push forward Quaritch's character development, because his arc is one of those really intriguing, I think, gray area arcs. And at first I didn't like them bringing him back for the second movie, but if they make him actually change, it has potential. But they don't want to pull the trigger on it. And they could have had something, like they could have had a moment where he has a falling out with the military at the very end of the movie or something. And he's like, oh, I've lost everything. All I got is this weird pseudo son and now my new booty bae for this new, warrior tribe. But I'm saying, like, jokes aside, that would have been a really
That's
dope
the new
direction
title.
of, hey,
I
by
wrote
She ain't
down
got no
more
booty.
fake
Don't
I'm
lie.
nature.
saying, but I'm saying by movie 1, he's this badass military dude who's human. By the next movie, he's a clone in the dead body of an avatar who's gone full native because he can no longer find a place. Like, that's a dope arc, but you gotta progress it along, and they didn't. And same with Varang, right? Like the leader of that tribe. Neither of
She
them
could
are
have been
dead.
so much more important.
Here's the wild part. Neither of them are dead, so we know that they'll probably play a role later on. So we know that they're not off the board, which is fine. But dang, you could have had them advance the plot more on the board of this movie before you ended it. If that's the case, it's not like
it
they
does.
won't
It
do
does
shit
look
later.
like Quaritch. It does look like Quaritch dies. He falls
Quaritch did
into a
not.
big flaming fire. Several hundred.
No
feet
confirmation
down.
though.
No confirmation, but
No body, no case. Anytime we have seen someone die in this movie, we have seen a body. Clearly,
All right.
the dude is being set up to be brought back. His plot hasn't been resolved. He still has a chance to open his eyes, and the military and his base still alive. Like, he's not dead, which is fine. But like, dang, y'all could have advanced his plot more before y'all took the character, before y'all went that way. Because now it feels like it almost feels like how I felt at the end of The Boys, where it's like, hey, I know Homelander and Butcher have this conflict, and it's okay that it's an ongoing conflict where it's going to build up. Like, that's fine. But the status quo needs to shift a little bit more between your encounters to make the weight feel there. Like Luke and Vader have multiple encounters, but they don't all immediately end, right? Or stuff happens. They learn things about each other. People get hands chopped off and shit gets blown up. So like, they meet multiple times, but there's a progression in that conflict. I feel like the conflicts they've had throughout the movies haven't progressed them noticeably. The key one would be Quaritch learning to move away from the military, but the movie just feels too scared to pull the trigger on that, and it holds up Quaritch's development, and it wastes one of the more intriguing, complicated characters in the series. And again, it feels like a very, some things I feel like, okay, that was really been hard for them to figure out as a production, writing, whatever, but these things feel like layups to me. And it honestly just feels like, as much as I enjoyed this movie, I think James Cameron just had his priorities effed up, where he should,
the sliders are all off.
Less weight. Like, all the ingredients were there for a great meal, but he put a little bit too much. Like, oh man, we really like the sugar you put in that last meal. Oh, they like the sugar. We gonna put more sugar. It's like, no, for this new meal,
3 times the sugar.
But this new meal, you actually should have put less sugar and put more salt, because we were expecting a different flavor profile. And it's like, you can't
have the same course over and over.
Yeah, just take 50% less of the Way of Water plot shit and put it into Quaritch's character development and the fire people, and you have a significantly more balanced movie. And I just don't see how they could have. I mean, maybe they'll cover that ground in the later movies, but I don't want to wait for the later effing movies. I wanted that shit now. To your point, like, for a 3-hour movie, it feels like they poorly optimized how they use that 3 hours, which is impressive because, like, come on, pimp, we got 3 hours.
And James Cameron has said, I saw a headline, that he's not sure if there is going to be future Avatar movies. And that, like, if there's not, he wants to continue the story in novel form.
I'm cool with that. I mean,
so,
I'd still
Avatar
like
books or something. So it's like that unknown about where the future of this series is also makes this installment, which could be the last, a little bit more frustrating.
I 100% agree. I think we've harped on what we didn't like about it. I had just recently watched One Battle After Another, and they're just such polar opposites in terms of like tension building, in terms of character, in terms of the ability of characters to just scream like, I'm like an interesting character and you have to watch me on screen. And like the juxtaposition with this Fire and Ash movie is 100% just, wow, these are two separate Venn diagrams. There is no overlap in the way that this was executed.
They are different
As
movies,
a wild
Wes.
double feature.
Yeah, like that's yes, Wes. Avatar, Fire and Ash, and One Battle After Another are indeed different movies.
I mean,
But
it's just
even
like
if you think about
to...
Avengers Endgame or something like that, right? Like, very, very different from Fire and Ash. But go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, no, it's just this, like, One Battle After Another has this total commitment to the characters being their characters, and that the interactions between all of them are informed by like who these characters are at all times, and like they're cohesive, right, in a way, right? They understand who these characters are, and it really feels like none of the characters know who they are, right? The writers don't know who these characters are at all times. They're just sort of, they're whatever they need to be in this particular scene so that we can do something different, or to create like somebody screaming or wailing or somebody get kidnapped or whatever, you know, like there just doesn't seem to be a good conflict between people in the way that, I don't know, Brian, you saw one battle after another, and like there is a tension between, you know, Leo DiCaprio's character and his daughter, because he's sort of a deadbeat dad, but he's the only one she's had, right? And so there's this relationship that they're navigating through the whole movie, even though they're separate, right? And when they come back together, they're still navigating this relationship, but it's advanced, it's changed a little bit, and you get to see more of it, right? And I mean, it's just,
there are no relationship dynamics in
See,
Avatar, is what you're saying.
I don't agree with that. Like, I think if you didn't like them, cool, but I don't think that just means that they weren't there. Like, I thought the character tensions were pretty, like I said, I thought that was one of the things the movie did solid. Like, Jake still clearly has to deal with balancing being a Na'vi and a very respected one at that, for all his like legendary battle prowess, but then also not respecting a lot of people custom traditions and the gun stuff and the modernizing our weapons versus their stuff. Like, I thought those things were real. I thought the family clearly mourning over the son, because the movie takes place right after that, and it's clear that Jake is still pissed at his son and he still blames him for his oldest son's death. Like, he makes it pretty clear. There's a whole dialogue where he straight up says, hey man, it's low-key your fault. We have the youngest son breaking down because he feels like a failure. He feels like a fuck up. He feels like he can't do nothing right. He only makes things worse. He had a point where he was getting ready to shoot himself. Like, again, I'm not saying you had to like those things or think that they were well done, but like, I don't want to mistake not liking it for meaning that they just never had it or never did it. You know,
no, they just weren't well done.
Has a whole arc of like becoming full-on racist against Spider, and they were continuing that threat from the last movie of like, oh, okay, cool, she really ain't rocking with old boy. That's not right. How is it going to play off with the dynamic? And the whole kickoff of the movie is that, like, between Spider being different from them and the wife not rocking with him in the slightest. And the whole kickoff of the plot is sending him away.
Get resolved? How does that get resolved?
She just cries.
Yeah,
the resolution is that. I mean, the resolution is that
Jake actually plans to kill him, can't do it, and then she says, "I see you."
Yeah, she realized.
That's how they resolved that whole long arc.
Well, she realized
of her resenting him.
Well, my hands
even
are
using
wet.
a slur against him, right? Calling him a pink skin or something.
I know. Well, I'm trying to answer your question.
And then she was just like, "I see you."
Well, when it happened was when she gets shot in the movie, and she spends half the movie recovering, and a big chunk of that recovering was because of other humans who found her and saved her from the OG movie. Like, now whether or not you agree with that or not is different, but like, her whole arc was she's recovering half the movie, and she only lived because humans found her and from the OG movie and saved her life. And
that's
all
why
that.
she forgives Spider?
I don't think that is the why, but my point is that her arc in the movie, whether you like it or not, is that she has a deep harbored resentment against humans for good reason.
Yeah.
And she has to work through that. And Jake even calls out, hey, does that mean you're harsher on our kids who are biracial? Does that mean, you know, she calls her out for that. And throughout the movie, a lot of the folks who help her the hardest were other humans. And whether or not that's found that believable or not, but I don't think it was just the shift wasn't just out of nowhere. Like, she had those moments. Now, so I think that was one of the weaker. Now, it wasn't my favorite part of the movie for other reasons, but I thought I thought the tension stuff with the family was fine. Like, do you have a son dealing with self-doubt? Yes. I think you have a son dealing with self. Like, I thought it was relatable. Like, it did its job for the movie. I like the son was my favorite character because his whole thing was an outsider. Him getting the Tolkien to renounce their like completely hardcore pacifist ways. That was a plot thread they've been building from the second movie. All of these
things that they just sort of let die on the vine. That's my problem.
I don't think it died on the vine because I felt like they addressed it in the movie. The youngest son was always the fuck up, even in the second movie. He always was the one who never listened. His streak of never listening got his brother killed. The arc that continues the arc of him being an outsider and being a fuck up and being different. But he ends up leaning into that more, which is what allows him to find that same token from the last movie and gets them to, you know, have the whole, okay, let's actually get the whale token to not be so nonviolent because it doesn't work, and he's the driving force behind that. But that was always being built up as him being the outsider fuck up son who needed his moment to bring everything together and all that. But I thought they had been doing that since the second movie, because he was always the second son F up. Kiri always had been having a deeper connection to the nature force stuff because she did it in the movie previously, and they built on that more. Like, I don't know, I guess I just don't feel like it's not like they weren't building off of stuff that they had already previously established. And I thought for most of that, the payoff was solid. I mean, it doesn't take away the other critiques I had that I think can hurt those things in the big picture, but it's not like it's not like a bunch of these characters didn't have threads that went from the last movie that you can clearly see them go from A to B of how they got from point A to point D 2 movies later. Like, I think it's just silly for us to just pretend like that never happened. Now, whether you like the execution and all that is a different conversation, but like, we can't sit here in good faith and just pretend, hey, they just never did these things.
No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying
like you
they
said,
did them
they
badly.
addressed them.
Yeah.
They didn't let you experience it, right?
So y'all weren't satisfied with like the son's arc. So
Yeah.
like the son's arc, like his whole thing, fuck up, being depressed, wanting to shoot himself, blaming himself for his brother's death, trying to find and make it right and find his outsider friend. That whole thing, like, is that just like a not interesting, or you wanted more, less? Was it like, you know,
any one of these plot threads, right? Could have been its own movie, could have been in like an entire emotional character arc thing. But I think kind of like what happens with Quaritch and Varang, the leader of the Ash tribe, right? There's just like a ton of plot threads going on, right? There's even a marine biologist plot thread, right? Like there are a lot of different threads being weaved together in this movie, and I think because of that bloat, like most of them kind of get the short end, right? They don't get fully developed, they don't get fully explored, and you end up with a lot of this like check-in situation that happens throughout the movies. Like, oh, we said this one little thing about that plot thread, and that's going to take us forward, and you're just going to have to be okay with that, rather than like having us actually experience the pangs between, you know, a father and a son both experiencing grief, and they have conflict with each other, and they need to build trust and love again, but they're racked by the death of a brother, right? Like, you could see how that alone,
those scenes, though,
that alone could be its own movie. And in this, you know, we get like a few sentences sprinkled in throughout the entire movie instead, right? It's like you don't feel it, right? Like these things happen, but you don't feel any of it.
Don't feel it.
Yeah, throughout the movie. And instead we get tons of Spider. Yeah, Spider, the white boy who gets accepted by the Na'vi. Like the ultimate fantasy for James Cameron. Like, and that kid is the worst actor in the world.
Whoa.
That's my hot take.
I like Spider.
That is a hot take. I didn't mind. I thought Spider was better in this movie.
He was much better. I think they've made him much more. I did not like him in the last movie. I thought he was significantly improved in this one. I don't know. I guess this is an agree to disagree thing, because I just felt like they did those things, and I felt, okay, I was watching the movie, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're addressing these things with the character. I like how the scene's playing out. I feel for these characters. Cool. I'm more or less satisfied. But, you know, different strokes, different folks. But I don't know. Once we get into the feel it part, I'm like, all right, this feels like now we're just talking about tastes of just what you rock with, what you don't. But that's film,
it is,
baby.
but like, it's also how you build a story, right? Like, you have to be invested in these characters. You have to feel what they're feeling. That's like the whole. That is what like feature films are, right? Like they're a chance for us to explore some kind of story or feeling or whatever, and like to reflect upon it, to reflect things back at us, to make us feel things. And if your movie isn't doing that, then, you know, it's a different thing, right? And you've made something. I don't know. You've made a Saturday morning
this is where we
cartoon.
this is where we just disagree, because I, you know, in your mind, y'all's minds, y'all didn't feel it. In my mind, I did. So now it's just
Okay. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. I guess, yeah, that's where we're at. But to me, this feels pretty clear that they didn't do it well enough to really get us to buy in on all of these, you know, relationships that were going on.
well, I was bought in.
Nice. All right, well let's kind of like fast forward a little bit here because we're a little bit approaching our hour mark that we try and hit. Were there any were there what was the standout part for you? Like it could be a character, it could be a visual. You know, what did you want to highlight from this that is like a reason why you liked it, or a reason why, you know, a billion people across the world are going to see this? Maybe it's not a billion, like 500 million people across the world are going to see this movie. Sav,
It's
highlight.
it's a movie meant for everybody to watch. Like Brian talked about the international appeal, and I think that's one of the stronger marks of the series is that you can make a movie, James Cameron been able to craft a movie that across different cultural lines, ages, ranges, all that stuff is a story that is digestible and universal enough to where you could be some kid in China or some old person in Cambodia or whatever, anywhere in the world, and most people can put on Avatar, watch it, and have a good film going experience. At the bare minimum, visual, but it tells a very pretty straightforward story about family and the dangers of just like unchecked colonialism, which I think is a very just universal and relatable message to most people around the world. I think it's hard to make a movie like that, especially one that sells multiple times over. And if you want to get into the film buff nitty gritty of it, sure, you can find all the warts and things you don't like about it. But if we're just talking about the popcorn moviegoer experience, there's just not a lot of movies out there that's beating what Avatar provides. And I think that will always be a key selling point, and why I'll always, recommend the series to most folks, just because it's very It's very easy to digest. It's not the niche movie you're trying to put someone on. You got to sell somebody on. If I wanted to get my whole family to sit down and watch some shit, minus the length, Avatar would probably be one of the better movies to do, just off of just, hey man, this is a very easy shit to watch and appreciate and be wild. And yeah, like you can watch it with your grandma, with your little siblings, and people can rock with it. And I do think that is a positive trait that, in the context of film, is worth highlighting.
Ooh,
Then I'd rather go watch Frozen.
The length is an issue, right? Like if it
K-pop
were
Demon
2
Hunters.
hours, I think I could get more people to watch it. But it's like 3
But now
hours
you
and
treat it
3
like an
hours and
event almost.
17. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now you treat Avatar like an event more than anything else. Like that Avatar starts to fall into that almost Lord of the Rings of like, yes, it's a long movie by design, so you don't watch it like other movies do.
Yeah,
You
it should
watch
be
it
like a
knowing that-
huge spectacle, right?
Yeah. That's the point. Like you don't watch Avatar like, hey, we're gonna watch a little quick 9-minute movie. Avatar is we're getting the snacks out. We're getting the big screen, the surround sound.
Barbecue.
Honestly, like it's an event. Like you know what I'm saying? We're gonna put it in. I'm just gonna put the Avatar movies on or some shit. But like I think that's a very unique niche that not a lot of movies occupy. And I think a lot of them don't occupy because you're either not trying to or because it's fucking hard to do. And if we're just highlighting why people, the good things about these films as a whole, I think that's the biggest thing to highlight.
Okay. Brian.
I think for this particular installment, actually this is probably true of the entire series. I think like the best experiences in this movie are when you get to see the flora and fauna of Pandora, right? Like the Tulkun, even though they were such a prominent part of Way of Water, when they come on screen again in Fire and Ash, to me that's such a revelation. They're just like so enormous, so cool, so well designed, and like clearly like it feels like these animals exist, right? So much effort and imagination has gone into them, and then they have their own cultures, they have their own standards and philosophies, right? They're like a non-violent community, and they speak in councils, and they're a matriarchal society, and they outcast some of them. And so every time they're together, to me that feels like the event. Like, oh my god, this is enormous. And then when they're being hunted, holy crap, man. Like if that doesn't want to make you join Sierra Club and like Greenpeace and whatever, like you have no soul, man. Like when you see the harpoons dig into some of the Tulkun, like that, to me that is like such a gut punch. Like more so than any of the Na'vi getting killed or whatever, right? It's like, oh my god, these majestic animals getting poached is awful. But on the flip side of that, in the final act, the climax of the movie, they're all gathering around I don't even know what that was, like the magnetic force that's emanating from the ocean depths, right? And like you see hundreds of them corralling together. That's a cool moment. And then they go on the attack. They reverse their pacifist ideology to attack the ships that have been attacking them. That is such a cool moment and really great to see. Right? You know, it reminds me of like the orcas that have been capsizing boats in the ocean, right? But to see that en masse, like they're doing it as a crew. Now all of them are coming on board and wrecking up the bridges of ships and knocking over passengers. And then you get other fauna, right? You get the squid-like creatures that come out of nowhere. And now they're getting in on the action, right? I think like just that spectacle of all these animals that feel sort of Earth-like but are otherworldly at the same time, reclaim their planet it's like that to me. Like that is all the fun that Pandora
And then the Wind
delivers,
Traders
right?
that we introduced earlier, they came back and they played an integral role in that battle, right, Brian?
Yeah. Where were they? Why didn't they
on.
have those big balloon animals like coming out? One thing I didn't love though was like the Turok Mando bird or whatever you call that. Like
Makto.
that played zero role in the movie, and I wish like it should have like elevated things in the way that it was meant to, for the mantle that they give it, but. Can't have it all, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's a classic case, right? Of like it was cool the first time, but it's hard to have that second reveal because they've already hyped it up, and it was one of the moments of like, hey, when you retread certain things like this, you don't get to bring in cool new animals and shit, and so you kind of like limit yourself with that.
Yeah.
Well, but they introduced a cool
idea,
right?
Like,
they introduced a cool idea with that, which is he was saying that like. The anger that he feels when he rides.
Oh,
when he
right.
That
would have been cool.
This is the thing that like makes it so he doesn't want to do it. And so like, how does he overcome this? And it's not a part of it at all. He's he just rides it like a normal banshee.
Well, I think his thing was that he just never wanted to ride it again in the first place. And his whole thing was accepting, hey man, tough. We need to fight.
I wanted to see the bloodlust from him.
Sorry, bro.
Right?
We gotta
as a result of being Turok Mando.
Yeah, like
right?
what cost did this come? Like he had to make this choice, but it didn't come at any cost. Even though he said in the beginning, this comes at a cost. Bah.
I'm not going to open that can of worms.
Okay. All right. I think I've already said what I wanted to say about the movie. I didn't enjoy it that much. I thought it was fine. I mean, as long as
you can say you didn't like the movie.
I didn't. I mean, but as long as I went in with the mindset that like I was gonna get like lame dialogue, I was gonna get characters that I didn't care about that much and that weren't that interesting. But I was gonna get cool visuals,
So you don't think that's a little bit of a pessimistic view though? If you just go in already saying, "I know this is gonna be bad," I feel like you're already setting yourself up to have a negative view.
No, I was
you a
lowering,
teacher,
he's lowering the bar.
Yeah,
Wes,
I
you
was
are a
lowering
teacher.
my expectations so that the movie could not trip over the bar that was on the floor.
A deficit-based approach.
It was absolutely a deficit-based approach to this movie. And I was hoping maybe I'd be like pleasantly surprised, and I wasn't, but it was fine. I think, like you said, it's not a terrible movie. It's just like it's a movie that like to me feels like it could have been so much more, and it wasn't, and it was just sort of fine. And I think what partly makes me annoyed about it is there's so many people who love it, who go to see these movies, and they're just not that great. And I don't know.
It annoys you that people like them and go see them, but you don't think they're that great?
Yeah. I
like that, and I fucked with the movie. Are you upset that I liked Avatar, Wes?
A little bit.
Do you think it's just not good enough? You think it's not good enough to be worth appreciating? Like, what is it about, man, I really fucked with Avatar that grinds your gears? Because
I think it fails at doing what a movie's supposed to do. That's what I think. But I mean, that's an opinion. So, everybody's allowed to have opinions.
Yeah, but that's a wild opinion. I'm glad we got to get to say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
If you like Avatar, Wes thinks you're a dummy.
I think you need to relook at this movie. Like, what are you looking like? What are you going to see movies for if it's not for like characters doing character things and growing or developing and interacting and doing cool things that like you can't do necessarily in everyday life, or that are pointing a spotlight on things from everyday life. Like it's just it doesn't feel like this movie has a lot that's, let's say, that's interesting, and not a lot to like show us that's interesting in a story way, right? Like if you were just making paintings of this stuff, it'd be cool, right? Like the visuals are cool. Like you said, the Tolkien are cool when they go upwards and vertical, and all of a sudden there's just these massive, Tolkien or whales right next to our smaller Avatar characters, which we know are already big, large. It's just like, oh, the scale of this is, grandiose, and it, yeah, make that a painting, and that'd be cool. It does that awe-inspiring like moment is a good thing, but that's the wrong medium, right? Like that's a painting, that's a snapshot, that's a photograph. This is a movie, and there's got to be more to it to me than just that. So that's how I feel about it.
I think Avatar is dope the same reason you like Top Gun, the same reason people like Star Wars, the same reason folks like Indiana Jones. I think there's just certain movie series that's meant to just be fun for the whole family. And
all right,
this one tells a pretty straightforward anti-colonialism message, or Star Wars is anti-imperialism.
But without the soul. There's got to be a soul
in your
to it.
In your opinion.
Yes, in my opinion, those movies have soul. This one does not.
To be clear, Star Wars, Indiana Jones has soul, but not Avatar.
Definitely. Yeah, because of Harrison Ford.
Yeah. There's a charisma.
There's a reason why the original trilogy is way better than the prequel trilogy.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
For the same reason.
Yeah.
This is the most elitist nonsense I've heard in a hot minute. Brian, I expect this from you.
Have you watched the prequel trilogy recently?
I've watched all the Star Wars movies multiple times.
Recently.
Yes, I'm in an active watch through of the prequel trilogy and all the movies. I've been watching them all recently. All them joints is great.
Yes, this is the same thing, right? Like,
I think
to me, those movies fail at the same thing. Like Hayden Christensen.
I'm talking about the OG Star Wars movies too. I'm talking about the original trilogy too.
They had a little stilted dialogue.
What I'm saying is that I feel like this critique you have of Avatar is like just blockbuster movies. Like what you're applying is just It feels like this is just an anti-blockbuster movie.
No,
and I don't feel like this is that different from all the other Transformers. All of this where these are
Transformers
beautiful.
Bad.
These are big, beautiful movies that are meant to be.
That first one was kind of awesome.
I think these are all just big, beautiful, big production movies that's meant to be appealing to a wide audience and give you that visual treat. But I think it is a wild take to say that OG Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all of these movies have some weird, mysterious thing that Avatar, a series that you gotta admit at least is made with a lot of care and thought, just magically doesn't have soul. I think that's wow. I'm not saying you gotta like Avatar because the movies are meant to just be fun, thrill ride, amusement park style movies. I'm just saying there's plenty of those, and I don't know why Avatar suddenly we care about soul in what is meant to be the equivalent of a roller coaster ride. Like I enjoy Avatar the same way I reason like Endgame and all these other give me a big, beautiful spectacle on-screen experience. And I don't separate Avatar significantly from any of those other movies, so I'm confused as to what makes Avatar this weird.
Well, to me, it's
soulless compared to all these other franchises that people think soulless.
Endgame is way better. You cannot compare this to Endgame, man.
Savon, you're the wrong one on this one. This is what I think.
I think you've showed your true hand, my friend.
I think that I know because we just don't
cannot
have enough
compare
time.
Avatar.
To any of those movies.
Whoa.
Even Top Gun is way better.
You think Top Gun is better than Avatar?
Yes, it
Maverick,
has soul.
Top Gun Maverick. Oh hell yeah!
Isn't it the movie y'all also said? You said yourself, Wes, it wasn't about the plot. It wasn't meant to make any sense. It was meant to be cool fighter jets doing cool shit.
Yes, but the characters were cool. The relationships were cool. Like,
so I'll say this about Avatar, right? They in this last one, they messed up the cool shit. There was cool shit in Way of Water. For sure. Way of Water was really cool, man. Like all the surfing stuff, all the underwater stuff, all the world building stuff, all the tech stuff is really cool. Fire and Ash, man, like some of these action scenes, it's like, oh, we've seen this before. Like there's nothing like novel, there's nothing like fun, smart, cool really happening. It just kind of happens. In a lot of the action scenes. Not everything. right?
The whales jumping onto the ships was new.
That was cool, right? The suicide bomber, Ash tribe people, that was cool. That's some new stuff. But on the whole, like all the other action scenes, not really dope, right? Like they're just kind of happening. And then like the other cool stuff, right? We talked about, right? Like we don't get new ideas. We're not like seeing cool new technology. They're not staged in a way that makes it stand out. And so like it doesn't feel like they've moved the needle anywhere with this particular movie. And so all the rule of cool stuff, I was actually thinking about this as I was watching, like the rule of cool that we normally have for a movie like this, man, they missed it. Like there is
I was
like
really trying hard
very
with
little
transition.
This is the wildest shit to me right now.
Very little
really
cool
trying.
happening in this movie, right? Like Jake Sully is not cool. Spider is not cool. And they're not doing cool.
More.
They're not doing cool things, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. Like the coolest character is Varong, and she kind of gets sidelined through most of the movie. She just becomes a girlfriend. Like, come on. Like give us something better than that.
I was trying to transition. You heard me trying to transition. I was like, I'm done hating on this movie. And then we came back to hating on the movie. So I'm sorry, Savon,
once you came to there's something wrong with you for liking the movie, I was like, all right, now this is ridiculous. Because now I just want to look up all the big blockbuster movies and see, okay, what's the line between soul and not soul? Because I'm like, all these are.
This is on the other side. Whatever the line is, this is on the other side.
I think these are awful takes from y'all that are poorly founded, but that's why we call this show what we call it. I think if you deep
Definitely right.
I think if you deep dive, dig a little deeper, you can realize this is nonsense. But
no,
trying to assign soul to blockbusters is a wild take. Because now I'm like Titanic, Inception, Oppenheimer, Forrest Gump, Star Wars, Jurassic Park.
Those movies are good.
All better movies than this.
Mad Max, Suicide Squad, Hunger Games, Jurassic Park series. I'm just like, a lot of these are all solid. These are all, keep in mind, I like majority of these movies, but I just don't think one has more soul than another. I think they're all in that Avatar category of, a dope blockbuster that I enjoyed in theaters. This is elevating Avatar. This is me saying, hey, this is my tier of blockbusters. I don't know why this one's suddenly different when all the others have their own just, hey man, they're trying to make a big budget movie and get motherfuckers in seats.
Well, I think we explained that.
I think you poorly explained. But what's the final? Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I just think you were wrong. But what's our final ratings on this movie?
This is like that recent Godzilla versus Kong movie. It's just like, there's some cool like spectacle happening, but like
you
otherwise,
think Avatar is similar to Godzilla versus Kong?
Yes, it lacked a cohesiveness. It lacked the characters. It lacked relationships. Some of the things just had no reason
cohesive.
For being. I don't know. Like again, why did Zoe Saldana have this moment where she forgives or she can move
that
past?
Part was not cohesive.
Move past like Spider. It didn't make. There was nothing that happened that like allowed her to do that.
Yeah, but it's like one of those. Why didn't the Empire blow up the little pod ship? Why did they not have this nameless country as the villains in Top Gun? Because it's a movie. Sometimes the shit be. All these movies have these little moments where we can say, why did they do this nonsense? I agree, it wasn't great. I just don't think it's different.
But then there's character like underdevelopment, right? Those are two different things.
Why was Luke getting worked up by the old dude he met a day before dying? Like, it's a movie, man. What are we doing here?
Well, if we can't pick it apart, why are we even on this podcast? See you later, guys. I'm out.
I just want some logical consistency in how we pick
this
these things
is
apart.
Logically consistent. It didn't work.
I'm feeling very existential right now.
I know.
I'm out.
It's cool. Right. I'm getting my 2026 receipts. This is going to be great. We're going to have a great year.
You go get your receipts. You can make yourself a little paper basket, throw in the trash.
Got my receipts. I'm gonna
all right.
Post them on your page.
Let's end it there. We were gonna ask, if you had to live on Pandora, which Na'vi tribe would you be with? Since I can't fight and I kind of refuse to fight, I would definitely be part of the Tolkien. But then they ruined it because then they went and fought. So, I'm getting a little tubby. So maybe that's me too. I'm getting, I'm a large and in charge, here. I'm even wearing an extra large shirt today. So that's where I'm at.
I wish I could be part of the traders, but I think I get motion sick too often. And like something about like floating, and especially
Yeah,
when they're
no.
anchored. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I think I'm gonna barf a lot.
But that would be bad in the water people too.
But no. But the water people are. I'm definitely down with the water people because they also chill. Like you could go and connect with one of the water animals and go surf and whatever. But
Yeah.
you could also just be one of the ones that's chilling on the beach. And at my heart, I'm an island boy, so I'm going with the water folk.
All right. Sav, do you have a tribe that you would naturally be a part of?
I like the water people. Yeah, I like the water tribe. They have a pretty chill, like their lifestyle when humans aren't destroying everything is pretty cool.
Fair enough.
Also, pregnant lady is Kate Winslet. Wild.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew?
Why did she have to die?
Casualty of war. But also, so Jake Sully's family could grow by one more child. They're taking them all in.
Isn't the dad still alive?
He
The
is.
chief guy?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
He
the
is,
chief.
he
No,
is.
he had the child.
Forgot about him.
All right. I don't know. Let's end it there. Okay, friends, we're out here. Tell us what you thought on Instagram. Hit us up on the comments. Did you think that this movie needed more fake nature, or was it just a grand spectacle that the whole family could enjoy?
The shots.
Did it have soul? There's a right answer to this question. See you later. Bye.